Hi, ladies. Hi. I'm gonna tell just a bit of my life, not all of it. It will take days, seriously. Um, I'm gonna talk today about identity. I'm talking mostly to my people because over the course of time, we have lost our identity. Over the course of time, we are a people who think our ancestors are evil. How do you accept your identity if you don't accept your background, your identity, your ancestors, where you come from? I was born out of wedlock. I was born displaced without even knowing it. My mother went to school in a different tribe. My mother is a Shona. Those people who know Zimbabwe, my mother is a Shona. My father is from Mutare. And so my mother went to school in Mutare and they met as they do, boy, girl, fall in love and all that. And my mother got pregnant. But my father's family couldn't take a Shona girl to get married into his family. So they said, no, you can't marry a Shona girl. They are not our tribe, blah, blah. Long story short, back then it was really taboo to be pregnant and a teenager. So my mother came back home and she was a shame. She was a shame in the village. She was a laughing stock. But my grandfather said, no, I take my child, I look after my child, and I will look after the baby. I was born not knowing. You don't know, do you? And my grandmother, apparently when I was born, my grandfather asked my mother, his wife, my grandmother, to look after me. He said to his wife, can you please look after this child for me? I never talk about this story. And my grandmother did take me in and looked after me. My mother went on to get married really quick afterwards because of the shame, because of it was just a disaster for her. Back then, it wasn't a good thing to do that. I was left with my grandmother from 6 months old. So I lived with my grandmother, who was an amazing woman. She shaped me to be what I am today. But I missed something. I didn't belong. And I knew I didn't belong because I used to hear things like, oh, you want someone to go to the shops? Send that child of a prostitute we are looking after. Not from my grandmother, but from my aunts, my mother's brother's wives, because in the village, they all live close by. They all live like next door to each other. And after they cook, they'll go, we're not feeding you. Your mother is a prostitute. Why would we feed a prostitute's child? Go and eat at your grandmother's. And I'll go. And I knew I didn't belong. When my uncles were coming, other kids would run and say, Dad, Dad, and go to their fathers. And I would be left standing thinking, it would be nice to call someone Dad. I really missed to just say, Dad, and have someone say, hi. So one day what happened was one of my uncles was coming and I said, Dad, Dad. And he looked down at me. I was about 5 or 6. And he said, look, your mother is a prostitute. I am not your dad. Go find your dad. And I thought, that's really cruel. Couldn't he just say, hi, yes, just for a minute, just for that 1 second? I don't think my uncle even remembers that because it was just something people said. I was looked after and I was good at school. I was really intelligent. It didn't help that I was also a weird kid. Like, I didn't enjoy playing with other kids. I thought they were really stupid. Their games were stupid. I was a dreamer. I used to sit and think a lot. And I could look up in the sky and just make up stories and just write them on the ground. And I used to just sit alone, not unhappy. That was my happiness. I didn't enjoy other kids' play. Anyway, my grandmother sat me down one day because I'd been called weird too many times and I was really down, and I came home and I used to sit right next to her and put my elbows on her thigh and just sit like this. And she said, what's wrong now? What happened? I said, well, they're calling me names again. She said, look, if they're calling you weird, you need to celebrate. because being weird means you don't follow anyone. You are actually a leader. Weird people invent, and weird people are always in the forefront. So when the other kids call you weird, tell them thank you. And she said, oh, and the other thing, don't worry about your father. You've got a father. When you miss your father, kneel down and pray. Talk to God like you are talking to your dad, because he is your father. And you know what? He's the best father. You've got the best father in the world. So that makes you lucky, young lady. And I didn't know then. I thought, oh, she's just saying that. I didn't know then, but my grandmother empowered me and gave me identity. I didn't know that at that time, but that made me what I am today. She made me so strong to the point that it didn't matter. Fast forward, at 17, I was still looking to belong. I was still looking for identity. I don't know about this. When something is not there, you romanticize it. I'm going to talk about this later. It becomes really nice because my father wasn't there. So to me, he was the hero. If my father was here, I wouldn't be in this situation. If my father was here, I wouldn't be hungry today. If my father was here, I would have shoes to go to school. I didn't know this dude. I didn't know whether he could have provided shoes or not. But because he wasn't there, to me, he was like my hero, really. Like he would have rescued me. I get so much from people I talk to who have lost parents, orphans. We romanticize what we don't have. At 17, I met this guy. I'm still trying to find love. I'm still trying to belong. And I fell in love. I thought I did. I was too young. And I went to see him one night and I came home too late and my uncle said, you're too late, go back. This guy said, yeah, okay. We got married. I was young, I was a virgin. I didn't even know. So, but to get married in our culture, you need your dad there. So my uncle said, you need to go and find your father. I knew his name, I knew where he lived, but I'd never gone to see him. I went to see him. I was working by then. I went to see my dad and I drove up to the house. And lucky enough, when I got there, they were all there because one of my cousins was getting married. So they were all there. It was, the whole family was there. Parked my car, I go out, I say, hi, I'm so and so, and I've come for this, and I explained myself. And their mother, my grandmother, said, yeah, I know about you. Oh my God, your mother sent me pictures when you were born, and she brought the pictures out. And my father said, oh yeah, you are my child. I knew you would come one day. And oh yeah, everything is hunky-dory, love, introductions all around, hugs, kisses, everything. So this is the story. I want to get married. And my uncle said, you need to come. And he said, yeah, that's fine. Next week, you come pick me up with my brother here and we come and talk to your uncles and we sort it all out. Yeah, fine, everything fine. I go there next weekend. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. What happened? Apparently the wife had said, no, you can't do that because this is your firstborn child. So if you accept this firstborn child, she will have to inherit. And then my kids will miss out. So my father then turned around and said, first of all, how do I know you're my child? I'm like, what? Go and bring your mom over here and your mom needs to talk to me and everything needs to be done the cultural way. I'm like, I just turned around and said, fuck. He said, what did you say? I said, fuck. Got in the car and left. And that was the last time I saw my dad. And anyway, I got married without him and I was too young. It didn't work out. He abused, he did everything. I'm talking about identity. When you are outside and feel like you don't belong, it's really hard. It's really hard for children. I'm talking to my people. Many people now have been displaced because of war, because of the economy, hunger, floods, whatever. And many people have now come to the diaspora. Many people now are living, waiting to go back home to be happy. Many people were displaced. I understand so much about displacement and lack of identity, because where we are living now, we can't identify. It's not our place. We are immigrants. You sitting with one, just waiting. When I go home, many people are building nice houses back home. And in diaspora, they live in squatter, shared house, one room, waiting to go home. 20 years down the line, you're waiting to go home. We are romanticizing what we left behind. That's what I was going to explain about romanticizing. We are romanticizing that when we go home, we will be happy. What we left is gone. The Zimbabwe we left, the South Africa we left has moved on. When you go home now, you won't even fit in because it moved on without you. So people in diaspora, this is your home now. You're going to have to identify with the community you are in and sit and be comfortable. We haven't lost our identity at all. No, you can't be holding on to go back. And while we are holding on to go back, we see this a lot in Asians, Africans. We are having kids in diaspora, and we are confusing these kids to no end, because we are telling our kids, you can't do that, you're not British, you are African. No, he's not. He might be in blood, but this kid has never been to Africa. And if he has been to Africa, he has been as a tourist, because that's not his home. He doesn't know, apart from what you tell him. It's like what we tell people about heaven. You can explain it as much as you can, but I've never been there, I don't know it. So you can't say I come from heaven because I don't know heaven. This is my home. We are confusing the kids so much and making our kids lose their identity because we are refusing them what they are. Indians do it. You're Indian. You can't be British. Well, I was born in Britain and I went to school in Britain, and this is all I know. So that is who they are. So instead of accepting that we now have foreign kids, we are busy confusing these kids. As a result, like especially now with lockdown, I've had to deal with at least 15 kids who are in depression. Not just because of lockdown, but because we are forcing our identity on our children. We are not allowing these kids to be what they are, because we are thinking, okay, they're African. Are they ever gonna go and live in Africa? Come on, let's think about it. Are our kids, my firstborn is now 30 years old. She knows Africa, she identifies with African. But when we go to Africa, she's so out of water. It's not her. She will empathize with people. She will help people. She will live in the village, but she's on holiday. She can't wait to come back and get back to her job, get back to her friends, get back to her life. And I'm busy saying, you are African. You should be behaving like an African. You should be doing this and doing that. And she's looking at me like, Mom, I don't know how to grind any meal. I've never ground meal and it hurts, which it does. We have to accept the identity we are in now. That doesn't make us lose our voice as who we are from our background, where we were born and stuff. And this is the thing. If we can't accept our identity, why are we forcing other races to accept us? Because we sit there and we go, oh, our ancestors were so evil. Now we found Jesus. Yes, Jesus is there. Yes, I pray to him, but he's not my ancestor. My great-grandfather also made me what I am. He wasn't an evil man because he wasn't educated. No. He wasn't an evil man because he couldn't read the Bible. No. There is evil and there is culture. And of course, in every culture, there's evilness. And we have to root that out and accept our culture as it is, because that's what makes us us. How do you expect to be heard if you don't have the voice? We want to be heard. Africa, we want to be heard. We want everybody to know we're African. And then we shut it down. Well, you're supposed to speak. How do you expect them to know you if you don't know yourself? If you don't stand up and say, okay, this is my history. I'm poor. I was brought up in a village. I'm not ashamed of it. It made me what I am. Take it or leave it. This is me. It's not going to change. We find Africans now who, oh, I'm American, I'm American from Atlanta. No, you're not. Where you were born, that's who you are. Your roots is your identity. It took me a long time to accept that. Okay, I was born displaced. And I don't have bitterness towards my mom. She did what she could. She could have done an abortion. And then in the situation she was in, I actually feel for her because she went through a lot to carry me through and have a baby and being the laughing stock and everybody watching her. And I mean, my father just turning his back. I don't blame my dad. He was only a kid himself as well. Do I blame these tribal issues? Yes. Do we need to end that? Yes. But this is my situation and I had to accept that I am what I am because of where I come from. And unless I accept, forgive, and talk about me as me, my identity, I'm not going to move forward. So my people in diaspora, this really hurts my feelings because we've got children who are so confused. We are bringing up children who are so confused because as parents, we are like, yeah, I'm going to do this English thing over here. But no, I'm African over here. And my kids are, you can't play with them white people. Oh, no. Honey, you are living in a country where this is their life. Let your kids be and let them accept that I've got African blood and I'm proud of African blood, but I am me. I am my own identity. Whether I'm in New Zealand, whether I'm in America, I am just me. Mixed blood or not mixed blood, African or not African, I am me. We need to instill in our kids that identity. We need to let our kids identify. We also need to just settle down. When you spend 20 years waiting, many people are dying in diaspora and going home to be buried, never having lived in those luxury houses they are building over there, and having lived here in squalor. Working all hours, God sent to, oh, I'm building the most beautiful house over the hill, oh, facing the valley. Are you going to live in that house? Are you ever going to retire to Africa? Let's enjoy our lives where we are. Let's identify where we are. You can help from where we are. Every community is your community. If you're going to help Africa, you can help Africa from where you are. But identify with the people where you are as well. They are your people now because you're one of them. No need to run away from that. Oh, I can't, oh, that's a white sort of thing. Is it really? So that's why I thought I would talk today about displacement and identity, because I'm a business coach. And I'm trying to coach women business who are busy copying somebody else. They can't identify with themselves to people because in my culture, again, it's very frowned upon to be weird. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to wear a long wig, then I meet women who say, but if you don't wear a long wig, people laugh at you. What do you care? Why do you need validation from somebody else? And I'm struggling to coach these women business over here before they identify themselves over here. Because unless you identify yourself, how do you be? How do you follow your dream if that's somebody else's dream? If, I mean, you're trying to be Nicki Minaj, you're not. I mean, she lives a life. Yes, you might like her, admire her, but be you. Take off the veneer that you try to show people, try to be cool, try to be like somebody else. Oh, if you are gonna be weird, you're weird. That's who you are. If you don't fit in, you don't. I don't shove myself down people's throats, no. This is me, this is what I am. You like me, fine. You don't like me, fine. but this is my identity. Accept, accept, and accept, and so you can move forward. Because without identifying, I'm struggling to teach women business. So I've taken it back to start with identity. So I work with a lot of women who go, oh my God, I was so scared to let people know that I like that, because people laugh at me. Because then people, I am not religious. I'm African. I am not religious. And that's so taboo. My mom will be beating me up for that. Because we confuse religion and spirituality. Somehow they're confused right there. Religion, God doesn't live in religion at all. Look at what we've done to religion in Africa. We've taken it and made it into a business. That's the bit that I don't like. That's why I don't do religion. But in Africa, it's like the pastor said, so it is. We do not identify ourselves and say, no, 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 this dude is wrong, man. Why do we think he's so holy that whatever he says goes? Why do you think if you don't tithe, you don't succeed? Who said that? Where is that written? Who comes up with these things? And why do we accept those things at face value? Because we don't identify. Once you identify, you communicate with your own God. You have your own spirituality movement. That's like amazing. You don't need a pastor. You might want a pastor. You might want other people's community, but you don't need it. This is why I'm trying to help women to just identify, especially my people. We need to go back and identify and have a voice.